Yeah, those were also the days when guys were throwing 300 plus innings, so, they apparently didn't hurt their arms back in those days.
Yeah, I know.
And they could throw
pitch counts
a mid-season
that's a whole other thing. I mean, you start looking at that, and now that's trickled down, to high school. And I still look back and think I used to go out and throw every day of the summer. My buddy and I would, we'd do our mock lineups, and you'd probably throw 3 or 4 games, of tennis balls, those little fuzzless tennis balls and stuff like that, and then go out and play your games in the afternoon or whatever.
Right.
And now all these with, heck, you look at all these major league teams that have sports, these, trainers and sports gurus and these guys following the teams with, strength and conditioning coaches and stuff. And the guys are getting more. I can't even remember back in the day, when you'd come up with an abdominal strain, heck,
Nolan Ryan threw 300 innings.
How do you? Nowadays, you have guys with oblique, tears and strains and all these different things nowadays, and it was unheard of. Yeah. And you'd have Wilbur Wood, although he's a knuckleballer, you had guys throwing 18 innings, both ends of a doubleheader, going uphill in snow and stuff. It's just those type of stories. And nowadays, and that's why you look at Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan, he'll flat out say he doesn't believe in it. Yeah. It's because a guy like Nolan Ryan was running foul poles and had these monster legs, and it was just hard work. And take care of your arms. I have to say I don't know, but you look at, I think more guys go out and they they're taking all this stuff to get them prepared. And I know that again, the muscle milk and all these other different things and they're training differently.
Right.
And stuff like
that.
So
specialized too.
It's around the calendar. And I think that's what you hear from some of the old timers. It was like, the winter, we took the winter off. We didn't work out. Spring training was for getting in shape.
Yeah.
Right.
So they were, they may not have been bulking up, but they were resting and healing. And I think that's a critical component that's sort of missing. It would be unheard of for anybody to I'm taking the winter off. I'm not going to pick up a bat until January. Never happened.
Yeah.
I used to love back in 1980.
2 weeks off. Take 2 weeks off in a minute.
Back in 1987, I was in spring training with the Rangers, and I just, we came up from minor league camp to watch the big league game. We were in Port Charlotte, and all of a sudden, we're down, we get in free, so we're just down on the sidelines, down by the bullpens. And I remember Charlie Huff. Charlie Huff comes, he got his work, and he threw an inning or two early or something like that. So he went and pulled a life cycle, one of those old life cycle bikes out of the clubhouse, and he pulled it out they had these seashell track, warning track in foul territory. He pulled it out and he gets on the life cycle and then pulls out reaches down to a sock, pulls out a pack of cigarettes and taps it and pulls one out and lights it up. And here he was. I wish, back then nobody did, in 87, you couldn't just pull your cell phone out and he's riding his life cycle, smoking his cigarette, getting his leg work in, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh man, that would have gone viral nowadays, so just comical, but that's just a different era, different breed. And nowadays, like I said, everybody, I look at kids, a good example is a kid like Kyle Molnar, who pitched at Aliso Viejo, he was drafted in the 25th round by the St. Louis Cardinals out of high school. He'd signed, I think, his freshman or sophomore year with UCLA. He opted not to sign with the Cardinals, went to UCLA, pitched. It was their conference freshman pitcher of the year, but then, at the end of the season last year, ends up having to have Tommy John. So he has to have Tommy John. He had Tommy John surgery, so he missed his entire sophomore season. My point being, he pitched for, our son, and my son played with him, and we had a travel team, from 10 years old up till 14. And, I look back and think, like you said, you know, how many innings that kid, you know, 'cause they were one game away from going to, you know, Williamsport as 12-year-olds. They played the San Bernardino and, you know, and they played against that Ocean View team you know, I mean, I sit there and look at him and think, you know, again, those kids, you know, nowadays, my son, when he was 12, I remember I kept track. He played 112 games from, you know, year round. I went back and looked, 112 games as a 12-year-old.
Wow.
When I was 12 years old, man, I was lucky if I got 20 games in my little league season, you know, and you made all-stars and you're lucky to even go, you know, a round or two there. That's it, you know, and then baseball was over. You went to the beach or did whatever, and then fall came and you played either football or, you know, as a 12-year-old, my dad wouldn't let me play Pop Warner. And nowadays with the concussions and all that stuff, I don't know if I'd let, you know, if I'd, you know, my son play, you know, I would keep him away from him. But you look at that and you think there's just so much stuff. And now kids think it's so specialized. It's become so specialized.